loving the double revitalized tech. So Diagon doesn't have the flicker that he can connect his taunt with anymore. He's all about survivability together with Vivero, but I'm not too sure if whether Philippines have got that AoE damage to really make full use of that beefy front lines and just healing for the back lines.
Yeah, I think Team Philippines in game number 2 really need to try and focus on their mid trio specifically, because All Puerto is really the best player that you can maybe make something happen on early on, right? And if they're not able to do so, Indonesia just straight up has so many tools for getting away from ambushes. So the pressure is on here for Team Philippines as, already a lot of poke being done by Cine and Vivian.
Yeah, you can pretty much see the Vivero. At least she does have got a quick stun guard, so moving around is not gonna be too big of a problem. Now, Diagon, we talked about this, right? Diagon doesn't really quite have got very good wave clear capabilities, especially since you're going up against a Hylos as well. Both of them are equally tanky. The only problem and the only difference is that when it comes down to Hylos, he does have got a Ring of Punishment that can clear waves very effectively, which will kind of push and force Diagon to be stuck in the lane.
Yeah, it means that Fumi Echo will be able to unlock herself from EXP lane a lot more easily and just generally has more mobility overall. Diagon on the Fredrin can actually be fairly sticky, right? Because Fredrin, the taunt is quite spammable. But Indonesia has so much mobility that the only real target that Diagon's going to be able to lock down is Fumi Echo most of the time.
Yeah, in fact, that is very much true. But in the meantime, look at this. It does seem like Philippines want to go for a very early engage on the Fumi Echo with the Revitalize has already been taken out. So I will say that that is definitely going to be one of the great deals for Philippines, because taking away that Revitalize just severely dwindled down Indonesia's main survivability in the very first turtle fight. For Philippines, they still have double Revitalize. You gotta have to really watch out for the upcoming fight.
I like that Cine is even invading into the jungle alongside Vival here to try and steal the buff. Shell!
Oh!
Single hit! A beautiful trade happening between the gold laners as Shell somehow survives, sets up the kill for the rest of their team, but the Ogi Shadow kill, Al Puerto gonna be able to do an eye for an eye here and pick up Vival.
And now Philippines, when it comes down to El Puerto, level 6. While in the meantime, Indonesia, okay, she's at level 6 as well. But the main thing is, Vival did lose a life once, and that means that the purple buff is currently unavailable for the next few minutes.
Yep, and that means that Team Philippines have a greater control over the turtle pit right now. Al Puerto going for the slightly greedy route, wanting to farm every single jungle camp before contesting it again. But I guess they can't really blitz it down with Fumi Echo still providing a vision. So despite the kill at a really opportunistic timing, they're not quite able to get a free objective yet.
Total priority over to the side of Philippines. Indonesia very likely is not too interested in taking it. And if they really want to take it, they're gonna have to wait for the purple to be taken down.
Look at all the cooldowns being wasted on Fumi Echo. They're using literally every single ultimate on her, and they'll finally take out the Hylos. But what do they have left? Here comes Vival. Tempest Blade comes out. Vivian also dropping very
Oh!
Al Puerto with the double, with the triple. That's the higher boost up, picking up 3 members of Indonesia. And Al Puerto surviving City's attempt as well. The flicker out of the Kazura. But she
the Cyclone's Eye!
Not gonna let this go. That is going to be 4 kills for the Filipino team.
A series of unfortunate events. I gotta have to say that was painful. When it comes down to Indonesia, number 1, okay, maybe it's not exactly unfortunate events, but it was Amoris. Amoris, very, very comfortable. You can see that she timed the Breath of the Ocean perfectly. Perfect timing. So when Vival were to land on the Tempest of Blaze, and after going for the very first sword with the Defiant Sword, she's gonna be blasted up into the sky, and that was just perfect, perfect precision from the side of Morris. While in the meantime, man, Cine wasn't able to get away with that Cyclone's Eye. Slightly misjudged the thickness of the wall. It is definitely a skillable wall with the Cyclone's Eye, but probably not the right angle.
Now Vivian being caught out yet again. Unstoppable streak now for Al Puerto. 5-0 on the Hayabusa. The last thing you want to see if you are on Team Indonesia's position. Glorious Pathway comes out, Turtle being contested, Fumi Echo trying to stop All Puerto from being able to get another one, but the Hayabusa immediately jumps onto the Kagura. Oki Shadow Kill gonna be shared around, City actually jumping away from the breath of the ocean, but for how long? Turtle's been secured by Indonesia, but Philippines still healing back up, and Fumi Echo left all by her lonesome. Praises Wrath, not able to find it, actually finds the double kill, and the shutdown on All Puerto! Very worth it for Fumi Echo.
And you guys may think that the Ring of Punishment deals no damage, but hey, let's be honest here, the moment that you let Fumi Echo that high loss to stay alive for more than 5 seconds is gonna do quite a number to you.
And now Vivero in a lot of trouble, went way too far to try and chase down Shell, and got punished by Vival's very opportune arrival.
This is definitely a tough match over to the side of Indonesia this time. The roaming trio from the side of Philippines is definitely finding a lot of dividends with the greatness of these mobility. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised with the fact that Sydney have yet to find too much value out of picking up that Kagura. Haven't really been able to escape from these tough fights with the Rashu Umbrella Fleet, and perhaps even some of these crazy amount of burst damage that Sydney might be able to find. But hey, maybe just give her 2 more minutes and we should be able to see a little bit more of that.
Shell able to get a free tower up top against the Yagon, but this is actually a very good timing for Team Philippines. Al Puerto just finished her Sky Piercer, and this is a 5-kill Hayabusa. It's gonna be quite easy for her to continue racking up those stacks unless Indonesia is able to stop that momentum. Otherwise, this is gonna be quite a snowball.
As we can see, Philippines, they have got their priority over the lanes and they really want something here.
Now Raging Sandstorm, multiple ultimates being spent. Shell, despite the Purify, not able to get away as she is just being ganged on. But here comes the rest of Indonesia. Sydney can be able to pick up on Mortis as Perez has to flicker over the wall. Glorious Pathway comes out, slowing down the Philippines retreat. But Indonesia also taking a lot of poke damage. Diagon and Rivero actually very hard to take down. And Al Puerto from the flank picks up the first Sky Piercer kill, catching Sydney off guard.
Now they're kind of look at things from the Philippines perspective. Double revitalize onto Fredrin is actually pretty nutty, especially since you have a lot of health to work with. You can keep healing up your health and it doesn't even deplete the gray health that you have gone, and you'll just be stacking up the gray health like crazy, like as though you have a Guardian helmet already. So honestly, as long as Philippines is able to land that Appraisal's Wrath, that Appraisal's Wrath will end up being one of the key ultimates that will be able to deal crazy amount of damage to an AoE effect over to the side of Indonesia. So Philippines, they gotta have to find a way to really lock people down all in one fell swoop, and for the Breath of the Ocean plus the Petrify combination, you gotta have to make magic work during that short amount of time frame.
Yeah, so far, I think we're seeing a much better performance in Team Philippines in game number 2. Even though Indonesia should have a lot of tools for escaping from engages, BH is understanding that they can't. Oh, hold on, though! You had a beautiful timing from Vivian with that Way of the Dragon. Hayabusa not able to survive that one.
Damn, oh damn. Vivian. Absolutely crazy onto that choke. And I don't think that that's going to be the end of it from the side of Vivian.
Yeah, Fumi Echo in a lot of trouble. Revitalized, though, keeping her alive and even dodging the Raging Sandstorm. Amora is taken out by City with an ambush in his backline. And Shell finishing Vivero off. Just 3 members of Philippines taken out in quick succession.
Really fast movements and fast thinking for the side of Fumi Echo. And considering the fact that one of the main ways that you gotta have to run away from is to turn onto the left side of the obstacles to really get yourself closer to the turret. But that wasn't even the perspective of Fumi Echo. Just staying within of that Glorious Pathway is more than enough, especially since, you know, you gotta have to count your the advantages, right? You're gonna count your decisions. And in this case, she don't want to go underneath the turret. She wants to stay in the Glorious Pathway and play it around Vivero. Throughout all of that, still survived. There was absolutely no value from Philippines in that previous fight. And now, with all of these duels and all this scrambling, it kind of seems as though the macro game is just not quite the thing. In fact, this is kind of reminiscent to what a Philippines versus Philippines would kind of look like.
Yeah, I think Indonesia is doing a great job of slowing things down because they realize that PH can be a little bit trigger happy at times. They're spending a lot of resources on Fumi Echo in every single fight, and they're doing it again. Glorious Camera comes out, Fumi Echo still alive with the revitalize, and Tempest of Blaze comes out. Shell picking up another kill onto Vivero. This is literally what we were talking about. They cannot keep targeting Hylos.
The moment that you keep targeting Hylos and just kind of throw all your abilities over to Fumi Echo, you kind of lose so much resources. Hold on a second. Vivian wanting to look for something here.
And Vivian scouts out the Philippines but finds too many members. That's 1v4. Vivian gonna be taken out. But again, a lot of ultimates used just to finish her off. Amoris into the Lord Pit. Shell actually gets the last hit, beating out both junglers. And Amoris now punished. Diagon chased down. Indonesia starting their snowball. 2k gold lead. Vival taking a lot of damage. Perez does actually have items. But things are not looking good for the Philippines.
The comeback of the century from the side of Indonesia is starting to really set foot in the land of Dawn. Philippines have got a great start, but let's be honest here, Indonesia's micro decisions have constantly been showing triumph in some of these battles. Unfortunately for Vivero, one of the main initiators, I suppose, because the fact that you don't have a flicker is actually very difficult for you to initiate. But regardless, Vivero still goes for it anyways and found herself in uncharted waters time and time again. At least if you do have the flicker, you are able to adjust the trajectory of your Raging Sandstorm, at least so you will at the very least be able to hit someone. But the moment that you go a little bit too far, you miss everyone, yep, you're just gonna be a sitting duck over there for the backswing.
I think Team Philippines really needs to be a little bit less trigger happy. Their lineup is so cooldown based, and they're using all of those cooldowns on Fumi Echo and Vivian. And speaking of, Glorious Pathway once again, the Lord has already broken down the bottom inhibitor. Philippines getting locked down together, a lot of damage taken. Raging Sandstorm holding hands on Vivian, and Fumi Echo taking up the front line and soaking every single little thing thrown at her with their crowd to avoid the rough waves.
Oh!
Picking up a Mortis, Diagon with the appraisal grab does not do enough. Yes, gonna be another one down. Only 3 members standing for Team Philippines. Another minion wave pushing in, but Indonesia also needing to be careful here. They'll go ahead, back it off, play safe, go for the mid inhibitor instead.
Oh man, looking at the side of Philippines, it kind of seems as though the win condition is just not quite really there. They are constantly trying to bring down Fumi Echo, but they can't bring Fumi Echo down at all. Oh, Hayabusa beaten down like a sitting duck.
And that football actually chased her down to the ends of the earth right there. Petrify on Shell, but the rough waves used on the minion wave because Amoris just has no choice. Vivian with the conceal and backline, maybe a bit too greedy there. Will lose her life for that play. Praises Wrath again, not really doing all that much, but the goal now for Philippines is just to clear minions. And so far, they're still holding on to their crystal.
Very close to eventually ending the game. Indonesia wanting to go for a full-out team wipe over to the side of Philippines, but unfortunately wasn't able to see the ends of it. But regardless, as long as they don't overextend themselves too much, they should be able to find themselves still in the game, considering the fact that, look at this, 37k gold for the side of Philippines and 43,000 gold for the side of Indonesia. Because we are definitely looking at quite a bit of a lead for the side of Indonesia for them to take this lot down easy peasy and then subsequently bring down the inhibitor turret in the top lane to slowly secure themselves the win.
A lot of pressure is on Perez now. That's the only consistent damage Philippines has. Sini being forced out, but able to flicker away, and Raging Sandstorm wasted again. Vivero, you gotta hold on to your cooldown. Wave of Dragon used on the Khalid. Meanwhile, Fumi Echo 1v4, just tanking everything, and the Tempest plays right on top of Team Philippines. Vival able to jump away. The rest of the Indians are coming in. And actually doing a lot of damage to Shell and Sini, but they're still alive, and that is what matters. Vivero and Perez gone. Indonesia, full control over the Lord.
As you can see, you gotta respect our Appraisal's Wrath, man. You gotta have to respect that. The moment that double revitalize has been put up and you can see the crazy amount of gray health on the side of Diagon, honestly, it's very easy to underestimate what kind of damage that Appraisal's Ref will be able to bring in. But now Indonesia have got a sweet, sweet taste of that. I don't think that they will ever want to run right in the face of Diagon if Diagon is having a free reign. And of course, tunnel vision, very important. Philippines may want to play onto tunnel visioning from the side of Indonesia the moment that Indonesia all in onto a single person, such as Vivero, for example. That would have been the perfect time for Diagon to kind of unleash a counterattack.
Is it gonna be... It's gonna be possible for Philippines to counterattack this. Their high ground defense is alright with Clint, but that's about all they have, and the Lord is pushing in mid lane to begin with the conceal. The Akon taking so much damage already. Torch Traffic comes out to grab the steal, back out with the revive. Vero taking a lot of damage. Shell actually being targeted by the rough waves, able to survive all of it, but Vival already dumping in way too deep. Indonesia has to switch their plans around. They go for the final inhibitor instead, as they're not able to break down the crystal.
It is now Indonesia. He's gonna tuck their tails between their legs and running from behind. Philippines pushed Indonesia away despite losing all of their inhibitor turret and exposing them into a barren wasteland. Philippines still managed to reclaim their jungle, push out all of these waves, and this is going to open things up a little bit more for Perez as well as Alberto to get even more fun from this point onwards. Indonesia is starting to really respect Philippines for the amount of wave clear that they have got, and of course the damage that they have got as well. So Indonesia, they want to play safe and sound, but they gotta play it a little bit slow. But I'm not too sure if whether that is a sound decision.
I think the best case scenario for Indonesia is just to continue playing as patient as they always have been, right? Because up until now, they've been able to win team fights consistently against the Philippines because the latter has just been spending all of their cooldowns before the fight even really starts. But in that previous one, because Indonesia tried to force their way through on top of the crystal, it allowed PH to use their cooldowns on more important targets. So they cannot replicate that unless they want Philippines to be able to actually make this comeback.
Slowly but surely, Indonesia, they're slowly losing control of the game. 4,000 gold lead as we speak right now. Indonesia definitely had more at a certain point in time, but Philippines, I think that they have kind of changed the way that they play as well. They're actually putting Diagon to just kind of open up the map a little bit more and just kind of be the anchor of the team. Back then, I would say that Philippines, they have constantly been very hot-headed and fast on their fingers when it comes down to initiating with Amores. But you gotta have to remember, this is more or less the same kind of win condition from Game 1 to Game 2. Philippines wants to have the brushes. They need to have the element of surprise. And the moment that Indonesia gives that away to Philippines and yields, that is Philippines' #1 lifeline.
Yeah, I think Philippines, Amores especially, being able to find Shell in that previous base push really reduced the amount of damage they could have potentially taken. So if they're able to do that again, there is a perfect opportunity to make it back into this. Because all things considered, we're 18 minutes in, the net worth difference isn't actually that big. It's still possible to try and make this comeback, though it's gonna take a lot of finesse.
As we now slowly see the slow pursuit of the Lord from both teams. Diagon really anchoring down and being that solid brick wall right in front of Indonesia. I would say that Vivero is doing the absolute same as well with the thick amount of HP that he has got. But of course, something's brewing.
Oh! Flicker away of the dragon onto Diagon, right into the rest of the team, and the only shadow kill comes out, and already Shell has to back it off. Vival still gonna be able to secure the Lord away, and Cindy is in the backline with the Rin Yang overturn. Puerto bursted in an instant, and now Philippines can no longer escape. That's gonna be a double kill. Perez doing his best to try and survive, but look at how surrounded he is. Triple kill, Maniac!
Oh my
God! Indonesia wipes out the Philippines and takes the series and the upper bracket final. Your first AEG Grand Final.